Alright, okay, so we'll do a question 5 now. So the one I've chosen here is the 2010 one. This butterfly logo, similar there, small bit. Alright, so it's this one here. So the figure shows the logo of a butterfly farm. Sorry, it's 2010, question 5. The figure shows the logo for a butterfly farm. The figure is subject to transformations in the following order. So you've got axial symmetry, followed by translation, followed by central symmetry, followed by rotation anti-clockwise through 120 degrees. P1, P2, P3, and P4 show positions and points under each of these transformations. Draw the given figure, determine the image of the figure under each of these transformations. Right. So first things here, lads, to get out of this question is this. Massive mistakes are always made here. Make sure you get the order correct, and it's right there in the question. So make sure and read the question. A common thing that happens is the first thing you'll do is translate it, because a lot of them start with translation. It doesn't mean they all have to, lads, and if you don't read them, it's your own fault. So make sure you've that order correct. So when you're starting out a transformation geometry question, make sure you get the order correct. Alright? Okay, I'll just slap this up here now. Okay. Right, so I already have some of it set up there. I've all the positions of the P's done, and I've drawn the circle around the first P. I haven't labelled it yet because often what will happen is if I put a P here, it'll end up with the line going over it. So look, I'm just going to leave the labelling of them off until I've the thing actually in position. Alright, so we've P, P1, P2, P3, P4. Alright, so first thing anyway is to draw the object. Now, a very important part of the question here as well. So I'm going to draw the object. So that's a radius of 30 going around there, and there's a radius of 35 going from kind of each side of it. There's a radius 35, is that full? It is. So it's going fully there and down until it hits the edge of the circumference of the radius 30 circle. Same from the other side. Okay, there we go. And we've got a radius 30 from the bottom point here. Okay, that goes through P. Okay, and after that we've got a horizontal line there. That, okay, and then we just to fill in the arcs that we need for our object. So put on P, shows up there to 30, and draw it there to there. There we go. That's it. Okay. Right, so there's our object, right? So it's a logo for a butterfly farm, right? So this is a critical part of the question as well, and I know you'll be rushing to get the thing set up, but you can save yourself a lot of time here by selecting the right points that you need to take across. So obviously, if you have any sort of an arc, you're going to need the centres of the marks. All right. So we obviously have P that gets us the big circle around this arc here. I'm going to need this point here on the side, so I'm going to call that Q. So I need the centre of that. So there's Q, and I'll need the centre of this arc here. So I'm going to call that fella R, and the centre of this arc here. Now, this would be kind of a common part where you just put in S here and select that point. Now, I don't have to select S because if you look at it, I have P and Q here. P and Q, if that extends through there, when that hits the other side, I get that point anyway. So do I need to take it across? No. So I can reduce the amount of points I need down to 3 instead of 4. And like some people, you know, you could be wasting your time taking all these points across here, this one, this one, this one, this one. And however many points you select here are multiplied by 4, because you have to do 4 sets of work on each point going around the transformation geometry. So it's important that you select the correct points and make sure that the thing will be accurate by the end of it. So look, I'll have the circle going around, I'll have this arc, I'll have the centre of the other arc, I'll have the centre of this arc, and all I have to do is go over them then, and the line, the H line going across here will be Q to P and extend it out to the end and give me that point anyway. So I don't need to take that point, would be what I'd be saying to you. You can if you want. It might take you maybe 2 minutes longer, but them 2 minutes could be vital. Okay, so first one here is P1. So P to P1 goes through axial symmetry. Okay, so axial symmetry means there's an axis of symmetry. So how did P get, so remember, how does it move, how does it stop? So how did P get to P1? Well, P got to P1 by axial symmetry. That means it went through an axis of symmetry. Where would the axis of symmetry between P and P1 be? It would be right in the middle. And the rule for axial symmetry is that the points travel through an axis of symmetry at 90 degrees to the axis. So to get that axis, I need halfway and 90 degrees to that. And what gives us that? Well, bisecting a line gives us that. So bisecting the bisector will be at 90 degrees and at halfway. So it's a nice handy way to get that thing that we're looking for, the axis of symmetry. So I've got more than halfway, swing an arc, same from the other side, swing an arc, and now I have my axis of symmetry. I've got it right there. Okay. So there's my, I'll put it in as AOS, axis of symmetry. Alright, so now if I have the axis of symmetry, I can take all the other points across. So all points travel through the axis of symmetry at 90 degrees to the axis of symmetry. Whatever distance they travel to the axis of symmetry, they travel the same on the other side. So that's how it moves and that's how it stops. Alright? Okay, so I'm going to be going 90 degrees to the axis. So bring across the 2 points I need. So I need Q1 and R1. I already have P1. There's Q. If there's one question I'm going to be accurate, lads, it'll be this one. Okay. There we go. Alright. So distance to Q. So whatever distance I travel through the axis of symmetry, travel the same on the other side. Same for R. Okay, so now I have Q. Again, I'm going to hold off from labeling. You can label them if you want, but I'll do it in pen, so I'll hold off away. Okay, so I have P1, so I can draw, I know that at P1 there's a radius, a circle radius of 30 going all the way around, so I'll just take it off my original one, draw that 30, and if I draw it accurately, the 2 points should be on it, which they are. Okay, so I have Q1 and I have R1, and then I have P in the middle. Right, so I know that if I join this line through Q, from Q to P, at the other side I'll get this point out here. So I can draw that in H. Perfect. Okay, from there I've got 2 radii of 35. So at Q and the file across from it. Same from the other side. Okay, then I've got another radius from R, but the radius is from R to P, or R1 to P1, which is 30. Yeah, just stretch it out to P. There we go. Okay, and then I can finish off what I need in H. So there. There we go. So there's my object gone through axial symmetry. And I'll, as I said, I'll label P. So if I put P above here now, there'll be lines passing through it, so I'm going to label it last here. If you did in pencil, you could just rub it out and do it in pen. So there's P1. Okay. Right. So there's P1. Now P1 goes to P2. How does it go there? It goes through translations. Alright? So translations. How do objects move in translations? They all move parallel to each other. How do they stop? Whatever distance one travels, they all travel the same distance. So what's giving me that piece of information? Well, P to P1 is giving me that information. It's telling me the direction and the distance every single point travels, which just so happens to be 3 points in this question. So there's P to P1. I go parallel to that line. Or there's Q. Right. I'll draw my radius of 30. There's my radius of 30. I'll get that. And then I get the distance from P1 to P2. P1 to P2 is that distance. So if that's the distance from P1 to P2, and the same from Q1 to Q2, and R1 to R2. And you can see I marked it again because they're on the circumference which they need to be. Okay, so that's R2 there, and that's Q2 there. Okay, and I'll leave, there's P2, but I'll leave labeling that, as I said, till the end. Okay, so we join Q2 through P, which gives us the point to the other side, and then we can start drawing in a radius of 35. So it's my radius 35. Same from the other side. The radius is 30 from R, that goes from R to P. And fill in the arcs I need. And there's our object translated, so all the lines parallel and equal. Alright, so just to say there, a lot of people would concern themselves, I see it, that people concern themselves with how the thing is going to look when it gets down here. Geez, how should it look down there? How should it look down there? To be honest, I'm not, if something looks wrong, I'll start thinking about it then, but I'm just following rules. I'm following rules for axial symmetry, I'm following rules for translations, and now I'm going to follow the rule for central symmetry, and that should get you through. If the thing looks a bit wonky after, you can think, oh, geez, how should it have looked? But it shouldn't really concern you. As long as you're following the rules, the thing will be right. Okay? So I'll just label P3. Okay, no, sorry, P2. There's P2. Okay, after that, here's P3. So it goes from P2 to P3 through central symmetry. Alright? So, what's the story with central symmetry? All points, so how do they move? Cut off there, right. So, for central symmetry, all points travel through a point of symmetry. And whatever distance they travel to the point of symmetry, they travel the same distance to the other side. So how does it move? Through a point of symmetry. How does it stop? Stop. Whatever it travelled to, it travels the same distance away. Alright? So P2 got to P3 through central symmetry, which meant it went through a point of symmetry right in the middle. So I'm going to find halfway there. So I go more than halfway, swing an arc, same from P2, swing an arc, there's again loading. Alright, and then we'll draw the bisector. Yeah, I could do this now. Okay, there's the bisector. So right here in the middle is the point of symmetry, the POS. Is the point of symmetry that P2 went through to get to point 3. So if that's the point of symmetry for that, it's the point of symmetry for the rest of them. So Q goes through the point of symmetry. R goes through the point of symmetry. Okay. Right. That's the distance Q2 went to the point of symmetry. This distance away. Make sure it's accurate. Okay. So there's through the point of symmetry, whatever distance it travelled over, travel the same distance over here. And then R is the same. So there's R2 travelling through R3 over here. Okay, drawing my radius is 30 P. Right. There. It's a little bit out now, right? So I'm just going to extend that line out there to make that R3. It is a little bit out. Tough now to get them all accurate going around. Look, I have to move it a small little bit. So I'm going to make that R3. You obviously try and be as accurate as you can. This one is fine here. Q is fine here. Q3 is down there. Alright. So we'll do the same routine. So Q goes through the center, or P, until it hits the other side. Okay, then I'll do my radius to 35. It's the same as this. So mark it off that. 35. Okay. Then my radius is 30 from R, or the distance from R to P is the radius. Okay, and then I'll fill in what I need here. Alright, just finish this off, cut off again there, I don't know what this is. Now you can see that, I sit there, that's a small bit accurate. It's a small bit accurate, maybe it's half a millimeter out. But like, imagine if you were taking all these points across, and you'd have to be getting these arcs exactly hitting them, and you're telling the examiner then, Joe, I didn't hit the mark I wanted to. Look, you've got the centre of an arc and you're swinging it. It's hitting both sides of the big circumference that you needed to. That's it. Like, don't be like, if you took it across in 12 points, you'd be in big trouble. Alright, okay. So there is P3. I'm going to label it now. Okay. Alright, so the last bit is, so we've got our central symmetry. So the last one is rotations. Okay. So P3 got to P4. There's P4 up here. P3 got to P4 by rotating anti-clockwise through 120 degrees. So, first thing I'll do anyway, I'll join P3 to P4. Alright? So, clockwise is going this way. So it went anti-clockwise, which means if I trace with my finger, it would have went like that, something around like that. Okay? So if it went around like that, anti-clockwise, well, the center of it is going to be up here, isn't it? So I'm going to have to draw it out this side. The center of rotation is going to be out here somewhere. Okay? And if it rotated through 120 degrees, the angles at the base of that triangle to get 120 degrees at top, so it's going to be an isosceles triangle because the distance from there to there has to be the same as there to there. So it's going to be an isosceles triangle, which means these two angles have to be the same, and this one has to be 120. So if that's 120, 120 from 180 gives me 60. So if that's 60, it means the two of these are 30 and 30. So I'll have 30, 30, 120. That makes sense. Alright, so I get my protractor there. Alright, get my protractor there. And I'll make sure the crosshairs are on P3. And I'll mark 30 degrees. Just draw it right there. So try and be as accurate as I can. Now there's that. Do the same from the other side. Get the rest of that triangle. And 30 degrees there. Okay. Right. I'm not sure that's really look at that. Okay. So there's my 30 degrees there, my 30 degrees there, which means I have 120 degrees on top, which means the top of that, and if that's equal and that's equal, well, that's P3 traveling anti-clockwise 120 degrees to P4. So that means that's my COR, my center of rotation. Alright? Okay, so I have, once again, I have P4 already. I need to figure out R3. So I've said this to you before, so you have to take this question as however many points you have, you've that many mini questions within this question. So R3 is going to be a mini question, Q3 is going to be a mini question. So I need to rotate R3 120 degrees. So I have my center rotation, everything rotates around the same point. I'll take R3 and I'll rotate it around like that. Now, that would rotate all day long if I didn't stop it. So I need to stop that by figuring out what 0 is. So R3, where it starts, is at 0 degrees. So if something's rotating into 120 degrees, if a car is doing a 360 or a 180, it has to start at 0 and then turn. So I have to figure out where 0 is. So I join the center rotation to R3, there's 0. So that's it at 0, and then I have to rotate it 120. So if I have 0, I put my protractor on 0. So there's R3 going 10, 20, 40, 60, rotating around like that. I need to find 120. Okay, so there's 0. I mark out 120 up there. Right, so 10, 20, 120. So there's R. So there's our traveling 120. So there's my R4 up there. Okay, I'll do the same. Remember, another mini question. So there's Q. There's center rotation to Q. So I'll start Q rotating. So Alright, so there's Q spinning around there, and to go around all day if I didn't stop it. So if to join center rotation to Q, there we are, it is already done. So there is Q at 0. So I put the crosshairs on my center of rotation, make sure the 0 is on the arm that leads to Q3. So there's Q going 30, 40 all the way around, there's 120. And I'll stop Q spinning around there. Okay. There we go. Now hopefully this is reasonably accurate when it gets up to here. Alright. Okay, not too bad there. Yeah, well, not too bad. So there's my 2H circle, and I've got Q4, and I'll put label P after. So same story, join Q through P, H line, and then do my 2 arcs, 35. Same on the other side. Okay, the arc from R, the P, there we have that, and then we just finish off with that. Arc going around something like that. Okay. Right, so that's that question completed, lads. Remember, the things to point out, make sure you get the I just put in P4 there. Make sure you get the order correct to start out with. Make sure you read the question and get the order correct. Make sure you strategically pick the points that will so that you'll have the least amount of points possible, and you won't be kind of around later with trying to figure out, you know, can I get the arc to swing through this point? I didn't need all them points. So I saved myself a heap of hassle here by only picking 2 other points besides P. Got me the whole question. Alright. David, the things to watch out for. Can you complete that? Thank you.